A group of 4 heroes once formed a party 1,000 years ago during the reign of Mondstadt's corrupt aristocracy. Heroes though they may have eventually become, they were performers first and foremost, and their troupe wandered far afield, each member coming from far away, but each of them with a song of freedom in their hearts and minds. The first of the group was the Sojourner, a harpist and archer from Fontaine. He was a popular young man with the ladies in his homeland, a fantastic performer on his stringed harp instrument, and a crack shot with the bow. He and the conductor met first, the conductor from an unknown land, but skilled at making an ensemble play together and harnessing the power of their music in his book. Next came the flautist, who took on the name of the Dawnlight Swordswoman. She wielded a sword that doubled as a flute, and as she danced her complicated steps and swung the sword, it made her music. Finally came the outcast from the ruling aristocratic clan, the Lawrences, from Mondstadt, who called himself Kreuzlied. He wielded a greatsword with the mechanisms of a clock inside, and with it he kept the timing and rhythm of the troupe's music. The troupe played their music and performed for the people, but this was itself an act of rebellion. According to the Widsith, Widshi, the pronunciation is unclear, even poems and songs were denied their right to freedom during the era of the aristocracy's rule. As a direct confrontation to this, the troupe's songs were anthems of rebellion, and they were intended for 2 different audiences. To the common folk, their performances were meant to inspire hope and strength, and for the bourgeoisie, they were threats. During the time that the troupe watched over the so-called City of Freedom and lambasted its lack of its very namesake, the Sojourner had the fortune to meet with a lovely, if sad-looking girl from the city at the edge of a pond. They made conversation, and the Sojourner quickly fell in love with this girl and introduced her to his fellows. To his disdain, however, she told him that she was to be offered up as a sacrifice in the coming Ludi Harpastum festival, an event unique to the city of Mondstadt that once marked 15 days of games and festivities, but which, under the current rule, was made into a way for the favored son of the Lawrence clan to be able to lay claim to any woman he found and chose as the sacrifice. This angered the Sojourner, understandably, and he vowed to save her from the fate she'd been dealt. The rest of the troupe and he had been planning an all-out attack on the city's aristocrats to put them to the sword, and he swore that he would rescue her during that attack. Meanwhile, the Dawnlight Swordswoman found herself in town often enough to make the acquaintance of a novice knight named Ragenvinder, and her songs of freedom and rebellion struck a chord with the squire that would resonate with him for long days to come. Together, the troupe made their battle strategies, and one day, they made their move. They rolled into the town and fought relentlessly against the forces of the aristocracy, but in the end, they were overcome by the sheer might and numbers of their forces, and each of them met a fate. The conductor was the first killed of the group. We only know that he was killed in battle, and his book of the songs that the troupe had created disappeared. We have no idea what happened to it to this day. The next to fall was the Sojourner. He stayed back as the rest of his companions tried to flee, raining down arrows on the advancing forces as his friends retreated. In the end, he finally ran out of arrows, and was struck down without ceremony. His only regret was that he could never again sing a love song for the one whose heart he had grown so fond of. The aristocrats took his harp and cut all the strings so that it could never make music again, leaving only the bowstring intact. The flautist, the Dawnlight Swordswoman, was captured and enslaved, and spent the rest of her time alive as a gladiator in the same pits that Vanessa would also fight in. Despite her imprisonment, she continued to sing of freedom and rebellion until the day she was finally slain in the pits. Her sword, the razor-sharp flute, was retrieved from the blood-stained dirt, and Ragenvinder had it buried with her body, where it ceased to make music. Kreuzlied, owing to his unique heritage as a Lawrence, was spared a death-based fate. While his timekeeping greatsword was plunged into acid to corrode its gears and prevent it from ever helping to make music again, he himself was largely left alone. Sure, he was disgraced, but he was allowed nevertheless to continue living in Mondstadt. This would prove to be the downfall of the aristocrats in the long run, however, because this allowed Kreuzlied to form a secret society that aided Vanessa's revolt as soon as she took her stand. There are even rumors that this organization remained as silent and hidden assistants to the Knights of Favonius for hundreds of years thereafter. The Resolution of Sojourner artifact set tells the story of the Sojourner and his ill-fated love, while the Wanderer's Troupe artifact set gives background on who the members of the troupe were and how everything eventually ended for them. Each of the weapons of those legendary 4 performers are available as 4-star weapons through wishes. You can obtain the Wanderer's Troupe artifacts generally through fighting bosses all over the world, whether that be in Inazuma, Liyue, or Mondstadt. And that tracks. They all come from different places, they wandered so far afield. They even went to the Mare Javari at some point. The Resolution of Sojourner you can get through one of 2 different domains, in Mondstadt or Inazuma. The Midsummer Courtyard in Mondstadt talks about the burial of a splendid garden with the fall of an ancient lost civilization, leaving only trees and stones to remember it by. And that doesn't really line up with the Sojourner story, but Momiji Dyed Court in Inazuma is a perfect match for why we might find remnants of the Sojourner there. It's said that lost causes and unforgettable loves may follow the veins of the earth, the ley lines, and coalesce into the fruits of the court's white tree. And what is the Sojourner's story, if not a lost cause and an unforgettable love? So this video's covered 2 different sets of artifacts and 4 weapons, all of which are lumped together in the Wanderer's Troupe group of items, all circling the central story of a rebellion in Mondstadt that failed and was crushed by tyranny before the spirit of the people was strong enough and Vanessa vocal enough to finally end the tyrant's rule 1,000 years in the past and 500 years before the fall of Khaenri'ah. It's interesting to see the history of Mondstadt and Liyue and Inazuma coming out in the artifacts that are still discoverable from those days long past. I find the lore of Teyvat very interesting, and I think a lot of people miss quite a bit of the story because some of it is locked behind these buttons you have to push, and people will often just skip over them, looking only at the numbers and the abilities. You just have to do a little bit of extra digging to find it. A lot of people won't do that, so I am doing it for you. This way, you can listen to the hidden lore and history of the world. There's a lot to talk about next. Obviously, I can talk about the fall of Khaenri'ah and the rise of the Abyss Order and all of that business. We touched on it a little bit in the Maiden Beloved and Bloodstained Chivalry set video that I did a little bit ago. I think it will be very interesting once we get to some of the things that relate more to less ancient history and more modern things that are actually happening right now in the history of Teyvat, with regard to the Traveler and their sibling, with regard to the Abyss Order, with regard to Dainsleif, however his name is supposed to be pronounced. So if you guys are enjoying these videos, please let me know in the comments. Tell me about the artifact sets that you want me to do a video on, or the lore behind any of the domains or weapons or anything, because there's a lot of it and it's very interesting, and of course I like doing this sort of thing, so I will do it whether you tell me to or not. So if you want to see something specific, let me know and I'll do those ones first. I appreciate you guys staying and watching this long. If you aren't subscribed yet, why not? Why not do that? Go ahead and do that subscribe for me. I think that'd be really cool of you. It'd be really cool of you to hit that subscribe button. So, yeah. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope that you enjoyed it. Hit like, hit the subscribe. Like, you guys know how YouTube works. It happens the same way every time. Everyone always tells you, oh, smash the like button, do all that. You guys know what it is. But I will see you in the next video. That is the wrong wrong outro. That's not my outro. I will see you next time.